Hi, I am Jacqueline Gmo, and we are Grow. And we are on a journey for something we were born to do, born to be alive, born to listen to the beautiful sounds of the free birds, to see God's beauty. We were just born to be here, honey. And life is what you make it. So we got to turn it around. We got to turn that frown upside down. They said who is they? They researchers said that it takes more muscles to frown than it does to smile. So smile, and the world will smile back at you. It will. Um, Love drives out hate. That I do know. Love drives out hate. And I was just sitting here thinking about him and wonder whatever became of him. Um, he thought he was my man. He would never leave me alone. Oh, he got to be so evil. He got to start doing, he got to start doing, wait a minute. He started doing, see, I'm telling you, it goes back. It goes back, this voice. But listen, and I'm college educated, honey, but this is it. This is me. This is what you get. What you see is what you get. Okay, so, he was following me around everywhere I went. And I'm going to tell you what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that cat, Kyler. And I'm going to tell you, listen, I understand when you adopt an animal, the whole family adopts that animal. However, I am a very, very busy individual. That's why I don't have any pets, because I don't have the time that it takes to give to an animal at this moment in my life. So, but this was then, and still, it's still been the same. Didn't have time for a pet. I had to grow. I had things to do. I got irons in the fire. I'm doing different things. So I explained to my daughter, yes, we can adopt a cat. That's something we'd never had. We always had dogs. And but let me tell you something about all the animals that we've ever adopted. They've all, they supposed to be her animals. And of course, I got to take care of the animal because she had to go to school. So, but the animals would begin to cling to me, and then she would get to where she just, they would be like, she would take care of them and stuff, but it was like they were more my animal. I was out walking them, and so we kind of see. Let me tell you this about an animal. You can go and adopt an animal all you want to, but that animal gotta adopt you, and you got to know that that animal has adopted you before you even bring that animal into your house. So I feel like that Kyler did not adopt my daughter. Kyler adopted me. Even though my daughter adopted Kyler. We went over there and adopted Kyler. Okay, let me tell you something about Kyler. That cat was something. And I love cats. I do. The story turned out quite differently from the lighthouse. Quite differently. You'd be surprised. But Kyler, you know, it was I could be standing there. This is how bad it got. I could be standing there in my living room, and because he wouldn't stay upstairs with my daughter, he refused. He broke the door down. He kept pulling on it from the bottom, pulling until he finally broke the latch, so the door wouldn't even close anymore. So he could come and go up and downstairs as he pleased. And if she blocked the door like I asked her to, Then he would holler and scream until she moved that stuff out the way and led him downstairs. So he had to be downstairs, but my door closed, but he didn't mess with my door, because my door went all the way down where he couldn't reach. Hers didn't. Anyway, I'm telling you something, honey. One day I watched him claw under that door to because that was when it was latched. Then it was closed, and I was upstairs because he kept pulling and shaking and shaking, and I was like, "What is that?" I went upstairs and he's shaking and shaking the bottom of that door, and I kept telling my daughter. He was clawing at the carpet and looking at me. I could see him, his eyes glowing, looking at me, trying, shaking that door, trying to get that door loose. And I tell him to stop, and he'll look at me under the door, and he'll get to shaking it again until he finally broke it. So this one day, I'm standing down there in the living room, and he started pawing at my legs, wanting me to pet him. And I reach down there and pet him sometime, And so, but he don't want you to stop. And so when you do stop, he'll start pawing at your feet again. And so I tell him, go on, shoo him away. So he'll go away, and about 10 minutes later, here he come again, pawing at your feet. This is constant. He just constantly did that. Even if I told my daughter to come down and get him or take him, there's nowhere she could take him because he wouldn't stay upstairs. And there's a whole 2 rooms up there. She had a suite up there in the lighthouse. So he had plenty of room. He had his own little room off to the side. He didn't want that. He didn't like that room. She had it decorated so cute, cat stuff. He would not go in there, in that little room. He would not go in there at all. And so he wouldn't stay up there with her. He'd give her about 10 minutes of his time, and then he back downstairs. And I can tell you so much that cat was doing. Till it just had me looking at him upside his head. What's going on with this cat? What's up with him? I can tell you this. He was doing so much, I thought I was losing it until I just finally called back over to the Humane Society, and I explained to the lady what was going on, and she saw my viewpoint and the different things that in his behavior. Some animals, is their behavior, and they just can't adapt to the environment, and that's what happened there. And he would, I wouldn't. The house is so lit up, you don't have to turn on any lights at night. So if I decide I want to go in the kitchen, because I told my daughter to take him upstairs, so she'll take him up there, sure enough, and push the door closed. He'll lay there for a minute, but he hear me down there. So I come out of my room, open my door, come out of my room. Now he's upstairs. I come out of my room, go in the kitchen, through the kitchen, to the pantry, all the way in the back. Now it's dark, but the light is coming in from the windows from outside. But I don't need no light. I don't need to flip on the light switch because I can see enough and I know where everything's at. So I go in the kitchen to get me a snack. I turn around. Meow! He's sitting right there on the floor looking at me. And honey, I just about jumped out of my skin. I shook. I was crying. I ran. I told my daughter, she was laughing. But it wasn't, it wasn't funny because he snuck up on me. I didn't expect him to come down those steps. And, he did that often. He did that a lot. No matter, I kept telling her, hold him up, hold him down up there, but she couldn't do it. He wouldn't stay down. He wouldn't stay up there. So, and then if I was in my room and I shut the door, he's steady running past the door. Just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Just running past the door. It ain't the zoomies. I know the zoomies. The zoomies is cute. They run here, they run over there, they run up the wall, they run to the sofa, turn around, look at you, run back to the floor, and then they done. Do that a couple times. And he kept doing it. It was nonstop. Running just, until I open up the door and tell him to stop. And then he'll quit for a while. He was just, I felt like he was a distraction to me and grow. And it was even more. It just got to be more and more and more. Because he wouldn't, it's not like, okay, it's one thing to have a cat that'll, the cats come in, you pet them, and you hold them, you cuddle them, and then they go, and they want to go lay down, or go walk around, or go see some other stuff, go talk to some other folks, meow at them. And so, but they don't want, but him, he wanted me to hold him 24/7, pet him nonstop, and I got to use my fingers to grow. I didn't adopt a cat. I don't mind spending time with him. I don't mind doing. I bought the food that he needed, the cat litter. I did all that stuff. I took care of him, and I just remember, I'm just thinking about all of it. Thinking about the time where he was walking up the steps, and I'm walking in the living room, and and the siren, uh, from an ambulance was riding by. The siren was going off as the ambulance was riding by. Okay, and he come, and I'm walking in the living room. He come running down the steps as I passed him, ran through my legs to run up to the window and look out the window, and he almost made me trip and fall. And at the time, I thought it was funny. I'm like, you so nosy. He was nosy. Anytime a car went by, he jumping in the window. Anytime anybody, anything, he in the window, nosy. Well, honey, it's just, it's, it got to be too much. He was too much. I couldn't take it. And so, it just, because when he came downstairs, he was on a rampage. I would record the podcast there, and he sat there and was quiet one time, and while I recorded the podcast. And all the other times I tried to record a podcast, honey, he was making noise, running around. So I had to leave. That's when I started leaving, to go out and record the podcast, because I love being in the lighthouse. It was beautiful in there. The lighthouse. From the dark house to the lighthouse to the outhouse. Yep. You'll find out what that means. Not that kind of outhouse that you're thinking. It's an outhouse, like outside. Outhouse. Beautiful house. God, this right here. Outdoors. It's beautiful. But anyway, let me tell you something. So, I just want to kind of give you an understanding without telling you every single little thing he did. But when he come downstairs, he just wouldn't come down to go lay down like cats do and go walk around and, leave you alone and go do their own thing. That's what cats do. They leave you alone. Not this one. Mm-mm. So he coming down the steps. I was coming out of my room, and he coming down the steps. And as he coming down the steps, he looks up at me, and I told him, I said, "Come on down." And I said, "Come on down. You come down." And so I said, and kind of waved my hand at him and walked away and went to go look out the window to see if it was gonna rain. And just kind of looking at the weather, just looking outside, just checking to see if it was going to rain. I was looking in the window for about a good 30 seconds. So I figured the cat came downstairs and walked around somewhere. I turned around. He backed up the steps, but he on the landing of the first flight, where half his face is covered up by the wall. So he's looking at me with one eye up on the first landing. I turn around, I look up, and that's what I see. Him looking at me with one eye. And all of a sudden, my heart started pounding because it just looked scary. And I started walking real slowly. And I said, "What's wrong with this cat?" He didn't move. And his eyes, it tears me up to tell you this right now. because it was so scary. His eyes looked evil. That one eye, I couldn't see the other one because it was blocked by the wall. But that one eye, I imagine the other one, if this one looking evil, I'm pretty sure the other one is too. But this one eye that's looking at me is evil. And I'm looking at him, and I'm just slowly coming up the stairs. There's about 4 or 5 steps to the first landing, and then there's about 6 more to get up to the upstairs area, suite where they live at, where they're supposed to live at, where he's supposed to be at with my daughter. So, as I'm looking at him, he never moves. He just looks at me. His eye is following me. That eye is following me up the stairs as I get closer to him. His body doesn't move. That eye just moves. And I'm standing right beside him, and that eye is just looking at me. I'm like on the he's on the landing, but I'm at that about the second step up from the landing. But that eye is just looking at me, and I'm looking at him, trying to figure out if he's okay, if something's wrong with him. Why is he sitting here like this? Why is he not moving? Purring or something. And then all of a sudden, he hisses. A loud hiss. And I ran down the steps, my heart pounding. I felt like I was going to have a heart attack. I ran in my room. I was shaking and crying. I was so upset. Honey, something had to give. You mean to tell me I'm taking care of you? I'm feeding you? I'm cleaning up your crap after you? If something happened to you, I got to pay hundreds to thousands of dollars to take care of you. You got to go. And you gonna hiss at me? You gonna hiss at me? You got to go. So, honey, it wasn't no question with my daughter. I called the Humane Society. It was a Sunday. I let that lady know what that cat was doing. And she said, I didn't even get to tell her all of it. And she said, honey, if he's doing all that, bring him back. This was after I calmed myself down. I was crying. I was scared. The way he looked at me, when I got in my room, my heart was pounding out of my chest so bad. I had to calm myself down. I had to pray. Dear God, because I stood in the face of evil. If that cat could have killed me, he would have. I felt like it. So I'm in my room calming myself down. And then that's when I called the Humane Society Sunday and told the lady on the phone what was happening, because I was able to calm myself down and talk coherently because I was hysterical. I couldn't believe what just happened. It was something out of a nightmare. This loving cat that I just brought into my home around my children, feed and take care of and pet, he hissed at me. Out of all the other things he'd been doing, that was it. So she said, well, honey, if you want, you can bring him back. Because at first the Humane Society in my town said to release him to the wild, and I couldn't do that. So where I picked him up at, they said bring him back. I went and told my daughter, get him ready. He has got to go. And at first she kind of protested a little bit, and then she got the box and brought him downstairs. And she said, because I said, he's leaving tomorrow. You have tomorrow. He's leaving tomorrow. And so I left him upstairs, because after that incident, he went on back upstairs. And he stayed up there with her because he knew he messed up. So I told her tomorrow, but she brought the box down that day. And he was in the box. And so when she brought the box down with him in it, he normally liked to jump in the box and play in it and jump in and out of it. And he's so cute. While she was down there, he would play and do stuff like that. But when she wasn't down there, he didn't do none of that. He didn't play at all. He was after me, just pawing at me or wherever I was, running up and down, making noise, just being a distraction. But when she came downstairs, oh, he was playing and chasing string and all this other stuff. But he didn't do that when she was up. He acted like a grown man. He didn't act like no cat when her and my grandson was around. But so this particular time when she brought the box down, put the box on the kitchen floor and walked towards the bathroom. He picked his head up out the box and looked at her and turned around and looked at me, and I waved bye-bye to him. And I walked towards my room to get the keys and everything because we were getting ready to go and got my grandson together. And so on the way over there, now it's sad. Yes, it was sad. On the way over there, my grandson was crying because, the cat had to go. And he couldn't understand, but he will. He's a child. They don't understand decisions that we make that are in their best interest, but they come to find out and realize as they get older. That's why they're children, and we have to raise them because they don't know what's best for them really until they get older. They're very wise, but they need supervision. They need guidance. They need love. And so on the way over there, my daughter had to hold the cat down in the box and sing over his screams because he wasn't meowing. He was screaming in the box. And he wasn't hurt. He was okay. Big fat, big healthy, I ain't gonna call him fat, but big healthy orange tabby cat. And he was in there and he was just meow, 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 just like that. It was a 30-minute ride over there to the Humane Society, and he's screaming like that. My daughter's singing over his screams. His screams were loud. My grandson's in the background crying, in the back seat background, but yeah, in the back seat crying. And I'm over here driving, shaking like a leaf, looking at my daughter and telling her, please hold the box, please hold him down. And I told her, if you let him out of that box, we're going to have an accident. And she held him down. And I'm going to wrap it up real quick because it's coming to a wrap. I pulled in front of the Humane Society. I put the car in park and I ran out. This is a Sunday. I ran out the car and ran up the steps and into the building, started grabbing papers. What do I sign? What I sign him at? What I sign him? And I'm looking out because I'm scared. I'm scared of this cat. And so, but inside the Humane Society, it was full of people that day, and it was a Sunday. And they're looking at me because I'm just grabbing papers and ink and trying to get an ink pen, trying to sign word out. Y'all keep the money, the $75. Keep that. That's a donation. God bless you. Thank you for allowing us to have us in his home, have him in our home for a little while. But honey, we got to grow. And so does he. And he, sometimes you can't grow together. It don't work. So now my daughter has moved into her, oh yeah, let me tell you this real quick. So, when my daughter, I don't know how she did it, but she had to move the car and she put it in a parking spot. She did do that. She put it, because I had pulled it right in front of the steps and put it in park and ran up in the Humane Society for safety. And so when she came in with the box with the cat in it, he wasn't screaming like he was doing on the highway. He was just meow, meow, meow. Because she put the box behind the counter and he didn't make no effort to try to come out of it. He knew where he was. He knew where he was. He did, because at the house, he'd jump all in and out the box. But there, he sat in that box and he just meowed because I kept my eye on that box. I was looking at that box to make sure he didn't come out of there. And he didn't. Because a whole room of Humane Society people, they'll watch him act a fool and clown. But he didn't do none of the stuff that he did over there at the lighthouse. So thank the Lord, thank the Lord, thank the Lord. I wish him well. Kyler, I wish him well. But honey, she moved when she turned 18. She got her she adopted 2 cats. a calico that adopted her. We call her Callie from the alley because that's where she was in the alley when my daughter came home from work, and they met each other out there, and they've been together ever since. And she's as sweet as she can be. And then she adopted a tuxedo named Weston, and I call her Veggie. And I cat sit for my daughter. So that's to let you know that, and they love me, and I love them, and I give them attention, and they can go and lay down, and go in her room and lay down, or go somewhere else, and they don't bother me. So spirits come in things, spirits come in people, spirits come in animals, spirits come in things, spirits come in people, spirits come in animals. I'm telling you, it's called energy. That's that spirit, that energy. Is it good energy or is it bad energy? Greatness reached over oppression through wisdom. Let's sow love and grow with that good energy. God bless you.